Hello, and welcome to the second part of this first exploring session. This is not going to get complicated at all. Of the Fair Maid of the West, part one. So this is part one of the Fair Maid of the West, of the first part, and this is the second part of the first part. Yes, totally. We are basically halfway through, well, kind of halfway. Yeah, halfway through Act 3, Scene 3. Halfway through Act 3, and we will be reading Scene 3. I've had too much coffee, and yeah, it keeps happening, and it's how do you call it? We're about to read this, as you can tell, and I'm here with these wonderful people. I will be your host, and I'm here with these wonderful people who will be trying not to speak to themselves, and hopefully what all the shenanigans I've been up to in the background will pay off without like actual, crossing lines. And I feel I should, before I introduce them, I should give a trigger warning for racism, possible sexism, misogyny, all that stuff, the usual, but a lot of racism in the final scene of this play. So, we were loving this, but yesterday we were loving it. It feels maybe too good to be true, but it's also an early modern play. So yeah, that's what you get, I guess. This is, as I said, The Fair Maid of the West, part one, by Thomas Heywood, in case you've forgotten since the previous video that you've watched, because I do. And so without further ado, I will introduce the readers. Reading Good Lack, an alderman, Joffer, and a merchant, we have
Alan and Shafa.
Reading Clem and a Spaniard and preacher and some other people. No, yeah, that's about it. No, Alcady. Yeah, no, that's me. Sorry.
I think I'm just three people.
Yes.
And I am Sarah Blake in Germany, actor, writer, and director.
Sorry, it's been a day. And we kind of changed a few parts last minute, so it's fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It'll be fine when we start reading. And reading Spencer, the love interest of Bess, Ruffman, and Alcady for all the scenes except the final few scenes where, to avoid talking to yourself and that kind of.
We'll see how this goes. Hi, I'm Lynn, an allergy sufferer in the Northwestern United States.
And reading Bess, a chorus, a Moor, as you can see already, we're in troubled territory. Florentine and the Florentine merchant, we have
Bryony Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
And reading Sailor 2, a mayor, a king, whose name I currently don't remember, but he's introduced later in the text. A Frenchman and Fawcett, we have
Kyle DiRoberto in Tucson.
And good luck keeping those straight, because I'm not going to remember that at the end of this. And basically, I'm reading everything else. So if I miss something, have I forgotten to introduce someone except myself and Eric? Usually chaotic, as you can see. We were meant to have more people today, but they are not here, and they're missing out on a good play. Although we've said it's racist. Anyway, moving on. So without further ado, Act 3, Scene 3. Enter Clem and the sailors on the one side. At the other, Ruffman, who draws upon them and beats them off. Re-enter Clem and the sailors with Bess. I believe Bess is looking for a script.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong scene. I was like, that's not the stage direction I'm looking at. I haven't gone far enough up.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Now I'm back in the room. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's okay.
But did he fight it bravely?
I assure you, mistress, most dissolutely. He hath run this sailor 3 times through the body, and yet never touched his skin.
How can that be?
Through the body of his doublet, I meant.
How shame, base imputation, and disgrace can make a coward valiant. Sirrah, you look to the bar.
I'll hold up my hand there presently.
I understand you came now from the islands.
We did so.
If you can tell me tidings of one gentleman, I shall requite you largely.
Of what name?
One Spencer.
We both saw and knew the man.
Only for that, call for what wine you please. Pray, tell me where you left him.
In Fair.
Was he in health? How did he fare?
Why, well,
For that good news, spend, revel, and carouse. Your reckoning's paid beforehand. I am ecstasied, and my delight's unbounded.
Did you love him?
Next to my hopes in heaven.
Then change your mirth.
Why, as I take it, you told me he was well, and shall I not rejoice?
He's well in heaven, for mistress, he's dead.
Ah, dead? Was't so you said? That's given me, friend, but one wound yet. Speak but that word again, and kill me outright.
he lives not.
And shall I? Wilt thou not break heart? Are these my ribs wrought of brass or steel that canst not craze their bars?
Mistress, use patience, which conquers all despair.
You advise well. I did but jest with sorrow. You may see I am now in gentle temper.
True, we see it.
Pray, take the best room in the house, and there call for what wine best tastes you. At my leisure, I'll visit you myself.
I'll use your kindness. And the sailors exit.
That it should be my fate. Poor, poor sweetheart. I do but think how thou becomes thy grave, to which would I lay by thee. What's my wealth to enjoy it without my Spencer? I will now study a die, that I may live with him.
Enter good luck.
The further I inquire, the more I hear to my discomfort. My discontinuance and change at sea disguise me from her knowledge. I shall have scope enough to prove her yet fully. This sadness argues she has heard some news of my friend's death.
It cannot, sure, be true that he is dead. Death could not be so envious to snatch him in his prime. I study to forget that e'er was such a man.
If not impeach her, my purpose is to seek to marry her. If she deny me, I'll conceal the will, or at the least make her compound for half. Save you, fair gentlewoman.
You are welcome, sir.
I hear say there's a whore here that draws wine. I'm sharp set, newly come from sea, and I would see the trash.
Sure you mistake, sir. If you desire attendance with some wine, I can command you both. Where be these boys?
Are you the mistress?
I command the house.
Of what birth are you, pray?
A tanner's daughter.
Where born?
In Somersetshire.
A tradeful and tanner's daughter goes so brave? Oh, you have tricks to compass these gay clothes.
None, sir, but what are honest.
What's your name?
Best Bridges most men call me.
You're a whore.
I will fetch you wine to wash your mouth. It is so foul I fear it may fester else. There may be danger in it.
Not all this move her patience.
Good sir, at this time I am scarce myself, by reason of a great and weighty loss that troubles me. But I should know that ring.
Now, this, your baggage. Never made a greater strumpet's finger.
Pardon, sir, I both must and will leave you.
And Bess exits.
Did not this well? This will stick in my stomach. But repent my wrongs done to this maid. But I'll not leave her thus. If she still love him, I'll break her heartstrings with some false report of his unkindness.
Enter Clem.
You are welcome, gentlemen. What wine will you drink? Claret, Metheglier, or Muscadine? Cider or perry to make you merry? Aragusa or Peter Semi? Canary or Charnico? But by your nose, sir, you should love a cup of Malmsey. You shall have a cup of the best in Cornwall.
There's a brave drawer will quarrel with his wine.
But if you prefer the Frenchman before the Spaniard, you shall have either here of the deep red grape or the pallid white. You are a pretty tall gentleman. You should love high country wine. None but clerks and sextons love Graves wine. Or are you a married man? I'll furnish you with bastard, white or brown, according to the complexion of your bedfellow.
You rogue. How many years of your apprenticeship are you spending studying this set speech?
The first line of my part was, anon, sir. And the first question I answered was towards loggerhead or blockhead, I know not whether.
Speak. Where's your mistress?
Gone up to her chamber.
Set a bottle of sack in the fire and carry it into the next room.
And exit good luck.
Score a bottle of sack in the crown and see at the bar for some rotten eggs to burn it. We must have one trick or other to vent away our bad commodities.
And they exit. Yeah. I'm just wondering if we should run this into the next scene, but I actually think we should pause for a sec to take in, the misogyny, and then we can return to the play. Deep breath, and then, yeah. Brian, any thoughts?
She responded well to it again. She didn't let it rile her. She didn't let it have the effect that it wanted to have. So we still love best. So yeah, I can put up with misogyny as long as she's there battling it like a boss.
Lynn.
What is Good Luck? What is Good Luck up to? What's he doing? Like, what's the point of this abuse? And he says something like, "Well, if I can't prove that she's dishonest, so that I'm the beneficiary, I'll marry her." Like, that's not really the way to a woman's heart. Calling her a strumpet, I don't
know. I think Bryony has an answer to that, and then Kyle had something to say, I think.
Yeah, he's not trying to find her heart, and it's all about that cheese. He's just after the money, and he'll get it however he can get it.
Yeah. Kyle, any thoughts? And then Sarah.
I'm just gonna say I already like Bess. She's got that. She's interesting. She seems like a real person in some weird way, right? And he's so flat next to her that it kind of just rolls off too. I think hearing it,
Yeah, I just like the way he's like, oh yeah, I could repent, but I won't. Yeah, Sarah, any thoughts? And then we should move on.
Yeah, I wonder if it's her physical presence and the way she behaves that is actually confusing him, because he comes in very much, it's all about getting his hands on the money, proving that she's a strumpet. And then it's almost like the way she responds makes him feel differently, but he's sort of wavering kind of, but then not really. But then that last speech of his is really interesting, because he does say, I could repent my wrongs done to this maid. But then it's like, I'll break her heartstrings with some false report of his unkindness, which is a third strategy. So you've got the money strategy. You've then got the, relenting strategy. Actually, I think I quite fancy marrying her myself. And then you've got this thing of like, I'll break her heart by, telling her something horrendous about Spencer that's untrue. So it's like, is that a ploy to get back onto the money track? Maybe. I'm not sure. It probably is, but it's just, he's confusing me, but I think it's because he is really confused. And I think that is perhaps to do with coming into her presence and like the fact that she is such a, what Kyle's just said and what we were talking about yesterday, she is such a real person. From a psychological perspective, it's all very well having a plot in theory when you're thousands of miles away on the sea and you're thinking about what you're going to do when you get there. And it's quite another thing when you actually come into the presence of a person and they turn out to be a fairly formidable and also really likable character.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also interesting. It's basically sort of he's kind of trying different tactics, isn't he? Like in modern acting, we usually talk about like what tactics is my character using for like to get his objective or their objective, and it's kind of like, well, this is an interesting demonstration of that. um, uh, I think Kyle had a thought, and then we should after Kyle we shall move on.
I like Clem so far. I like the way he like uses wine, or she uses wine to diagnose him in a sense, like to kind of, you know, peg him, but then also to insult him, which is nice after he was such a jerk in the, you know, previous scene. So.
Yep. Yeah, I think Clem describes themselves as a boy, but I mean,
oh, he is male. I wasn't sure.
At this point, it doesn't really matter, I think. It's just a cheeky young lad. Well, yeah, as Alan said in the chat, it's cheeky young lad, but like at that age, I don't know if it would make a difference. Like, I mean, if you were staging this, yeah. Okay, so Act 3, Scene 4. Enter Bess in her chamber with Spencer's picture.
To die and not vouchsafe some few commends before his death was most unkindly done. This picture is more courteous. 'Twill not shrink for 20,000 kisses. No, nor blush. Then thou shalt be my husband, and I vow never to marry another.
Enter Goodlack.
Where's this harlot?
You are immodest, sir, to press thus rudely into my private chamber.
Box of modesty, when punks must have it mincing in their mouths. And have I found thee? Then shalt hence with me.
Rob me not of the chiefest wealth I have. Search all my trunks, take the best jewels there. Deprive me not that treasure. I'll redeem it with plate and all the little coin I have, so I may keep that still.
Think'st thou that bribes can make me leave my friend's will unperformed?
What was that, friend?
Once Spencer, dead in the islands, whose very last words uttered his death were these: if ever thou shalt come to Foy, take thence my picture and deface it quite, but let it not be said my portraiture shall grace a strumpet's chamber.
'Twas not so. You lie, you are a villain, 'twas not so. 'Tis more than sin thus to belie the dead. He knew if ever I could have transgressed, 't'had been with him. He durst have sworn me chaste, and died in that belief.
Are you so brief? Nay, I'll not trouble you. Goodbye, you.
Yet leave me still that picture, and I'll swear you are a gentleman and cannot lie.
I'm inexorable.
Are you a Christian? Have you any name that ever good man gave you? 'Twas no saint you were called after. What's thy name?
My name is Captain Thomas Good.
I can see no good in thee. Raise that syllable out of thy name.
Good lack's my name.
I cry you mercy, sir. I now remember you. You were my Spencer's friend, and I am sorry because he loved you. I have been so harsh, for whose sake I entreat, ere you take it hence, I may but take my leave on't.
You'll return it?
As I am chaste, I will.
For once, I'll trust you.
O thou, I, the perfect semblance of my love, and all that's left of him, take one sweet quick kiss, as my last farewell. Thou resemblest him, for whose sweet safety I was every morning down on my knees, and with the lark's sweet tunes I did begin my prayers, and when sad sleep had charmed all eyes, when none save the bright stars were up and waking, I remembered thee, but all to no purpose.
Sure, most sure. This cannot be dissembled.
To thee I have been constant in thine absence, and when I looked upon this painted piece, remembered thy last rules and principles. For thee I have given alms, visited prisons, to gentlemen and passengers lent coin, that if they ever had ability, they might repay to Spencer. Yet for this, all this and more, I cannot have so much as this poor table.
I should question truth if I should wrong this creature.
I am resolved. See, sir, this picture I restore you back, which, since it was his will you should take hence. I will not wrong the dead.
God be with ye.
One word more. Spencer, you say, was so unkind in death.
I tell you true.
I do entreat you, even for goodness sake, since you were one that he entirely loved, if you some few days hence hear me expired, you will, amongst other good men and poor people, that haply may miss best, grace me so much as to follow me to the grave. This, if you promise, you shall not be the last of all my friends, remembered in my will. Now, fare you well.
I have heart of flint or adamant, would relent at this. My mistress Bess, I've better tidings for you.
You will restore my picture, will you?
Yes, and more than that, this ring from my friend's finger, sent to you with infinite commends.
You change my blood.
These writings are the evidence of lands, £500 a year is bequeathed to you, of which I here possess you. All is yours.
This surplusage of love hath made my loss, that was but great before, now infinite. It may be compassed. There's in this my purpose no impossibility.
What study you?
£4,000, besides this legacy, in jewels, gold, and silver, I can make, and every man discharged. I am resolved to be a pattern to all maids hereafter of constancy in love.
Sweet Mistress Bess, will you command my service? If to succeed your Spencer in his love, I would expose me wholly to your wishes.
Alas, my love sleeps with him in his grave, and cannot thence be wakened. Yet for his sake I will impart a secret to your trust, which, saving you, no mortal should partake.
Both for his love and yours, command my service.
There's a prize, brought into Falmouth Road, a good tight vessel. The bottom will cost but £800. You shall have money, buy it.
To what end?
That you shall know hereafter. Furnish her with all provision needful, spare no cost, and join with you a gang of lusty lads, such as will bravely man her. All the charge I will commit to you, and when she's fitted, Captain, she is thine own.
I sound it not.
Spare me the rest. This voyage I intend, though some may blame, all lovers will commend.
And they exit. Thus ends Act 3. Yeah, that is such a weird scene, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the number of screeching U-turns would make current politics look straightforward.
Yeah. It's interesting how he kind of goes, yeah, no, she can't, and then he does, and then he doesn't, and then, yeah. Sarah.
I think we're suffering here from that thing that we quite often suffer from with early modern plays, and that's context.
Oh yeah.
I think if we don't have stage directions, but I think if you were to play this, if you were to sort of arrange it as a director so that Bess is on her knees in front of this painting. I mean, bearing in mind this painting, we knew that this scene was going to happen because he says he gives it to her early on and she swears that she will never part from it. And then Goodlack turns up, not only saying he's going to take it away, but with the most just kind of horrible connotations attached to it. You can imagine that she would be like on her knees or maybe even stretched out on the floor with this painting and all those speeches. She's actually in complete torment. Not so much because she's letting go of the picture, but because she feels like she's been betrayed. And I think if that betrayal is really tormenting her, and given what she says, even in the midst of her betrayal, that would be enough to move him. I think this kind of shift in his behavior that we're seeing as being, oh wow, that's a bit of a U-turn. I think if it was, depending on how it was like played on stage and how it was directed, I think it would be very understandable. I mean, when I say very understandable, understandable within the context of Goodlack's character as well, because we know already that he's a bit of a flaky person and a bit of a weather vane. So that fact about him has already been established. And so given that, if you then make this a very, very affecting scene where she is genuinely, racked with the pain of this betrayal, I think this scene will work just fine. What I find interesting about it is then when she realizes that actually, that none of it's true, that Spencer did actually love her. What's really interesting is that she then puts Goodluck in charge of the next stage of her journey. We've already, this is like the third part coming up, because she started off in Plymouth and we had her intention, I'm going to go off to Foy now and follow my destiny there, in line with what Spencer has directed me to do. And now she's no longer being directed by a man. She is in turn directing men to do her bidding, but it is still all driven by Spencer. But I do find it interesting that given what he's just done to her, she then immediately puts Goodluck in charge. Yeah, that's interesting. But I don't know really why she does that. But yeah, I do find the fact that she's setting off on another stage of her journey, but this time she's the one who's directing it all herself. Yeah, that's quite exciting.
Yeah, it is an interesting bit, but also kind of it's just interesting, sort of the fact that she asks him to, fit out this vessel and we're gonna go on a trip, but she doesn't tell him where. She just says, we're gonna go on a trip whether you like it or not. Yeah, I don't know, it's just interesting. And also giving him £800, that's a lot of money for the time period, I'm guessing. Yeah. So I believe we should, if there are no more thoughts, I don't know, any more thoughts on this scene. I feel also, because like you did say about context and stuff, we would, like, if we were playing it at pace and we'd run, like, I don't know, maybe the acts together rather than, sort of scene by scene or whatever, it would have actually made more sense, because then we would have had the context of the previous bit as well, rather than just rather than just stopping to ponder what just happened and then continuing and then stopping and then continuing. And at pace, I think we wouldn't even think, yeah, she's following this, it's fine. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. At like a pace, it would be almost pantomime-esque, kind of, like, I think, I don't know, because she's kind of the principal boy in this, isn't she? Kind of, except she's not cast as a boy, she's cast as Bess. Okay, that's just me being weird with my limited knowledge of pantomime. Anyway, moving on. Act 4, Scene 1. After an alarum, enter a Spanish captain with sailors, bringing in a merchant, Spencer, and the surgeon, who are prisoners.
For files, spoil, and loss by the English done, we are in part revenged. There's not a vessel that bears upon her top St. George's Cross, but for that act shall suffer.
Salt not, Spaniard, nor be too proud that thou, by odds of ships, provision, men, and powder, made us yield. Had you come 1-on-1, or made assault with reasonable advantage, we by this had made the carcass of your ship your graves, low sunk to the sea's bottom.
Englishman, thy ship shall yield us pillage. These prisoners we will keep in strongest hold, to pay no other ransom than their lives.
Degenerate Spaniard, there's no noblesse in thee to threaten men unarmed and miserable. Thou mightst as well tread o'er the field of slaughter, and kill them o'er that are already slain, and brag thy manhood.
Sirrah, what are you?
Thy equal, as I am a prisoner, but once to stay a better man than thou, a gentleman in my country.
Wert thou not so, we have strappados, bolts, and engines to the mainmast fastened, can make you gentle.
Spaniard, do thy worst. Thou canst not act more tortures than my courage is able to endure.
These Englishmen, nothing can daunt them. Even in misery, they'll not regard their masters.
Masters, insulting, bragging Frassos.
His sauciness will punish above the rest. About their censures we will next devise, and now towards Spain with our brave English prize.
A flourish, exit. They exit, which is kind of like we went from Bess and Good Luck in Act 3 and stuff to this, and then I can see that in the next scene we're going to cut back to Bess and so on and so forth. Yeah, this is somewhere on the ocean, I'm guessing. There's no particular, I mean, it's in Fayal, obviously, because there's been the sort of fighting over the Azore Islands and stuff. Yeah, so interesting sort of jumping around. Anyway, so if are there any thoughts on this scene, or shall we just move on to catch up?
Keep going.
Okay. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Bess, a mayor, an alderman, and Clem. A table is set out and some stools.
A table and some stools.
I shall give you occasion to ease your tales presently.
Wilt please you, sir, sit.
All our hearts, and thank you.
Fetch me that parchment in my closet window.
The 3 sheepskins with the wrong side outward.
That with the seal.
I hope it is my indenture, and now she means to give me my time.
Exit Clem.
And now you're alone, fair Mistress Elizabeth. I think it good to taste you with a motion that in no way can displease you.
Pray, speak on.
Just pleased here, Master Mayor, so far to look into your fair demeanour that he thinks you a fit match for his son.
Re-enter Clem with the parchment.
Here's the parchment, but if it be the lease of your house, I can assure you 'tis out.
The years are not expired.
No, but it is out of your closet.
About your business.
Here's even Susanna betwixt the 2 wicked elders.
Exit Clem.
What think you, Mistress Elizabeth?
Sir, I thank you, and how much I esteem this goodness from you, I trust I shall commit unto your charge, will truly witness. Marry, gentle sir. Lass, I have sadder business now on hand than sprightly marriage. Witness these, my tears. Pray, read these.
That last will and testament of Elizabeth Bridges, to be committed to the trust of the mayor and aldermen of Foy and their successors forever, to set up young beginners in their trade, £1,000, to relieve such as have had loss by sea, £500, to every maid that's married out of Foy, whose name's Elizabeth, £10, to relieve maimed soldiers by the year, £10, to Captain Goodlack, if he shall perform the business he's employed in, £500. The legacy for Spencer thus to stand, to number all the poorest of his kin, and to bestow on them, item, to...
Enough. You see, sir, I am now too poor to bring a dowry with me fit for your son.
You want a precedent. You so abound in charity and goodness.
All my servants I leave at your discretions to dispose. Not one but I have left some legacy. What shall become of me, or what I purpose, spare farther to inquire.
We'll take our leaves and prove to you a faithful executors in this bequest.
Let never such despair as dying rich shall make the poor their heir.
Exit the alderman and mayor.
Why, what is all the wealth the world contains without my Spencer?
Enter Ruffman and Fawcett.
Where is my sweet Bess? Shall I be a welcome suitor now that I have changed my copy?
I joy to hear it. I'll find employment for you.
Enter good luck, sailors, and Clem.
Gallant ship and wondrously proudly trimmed. Well caulked, well tackled, every way prepared.
Here then, our mourning for a season end.
Bess, shall I strike that captain? Say the word, I'll give him by the ears. I'll have him by the ears.
Not for the world.
What said that fella?
He desires your love, good captain. Let him have it.
Then change your hand.
Resolve me all, I am bound upon a voyage. Will you in this adventure take such part as I myself shall do?
With my fair Bess to the world's end.
Then captain and lieutenant both join hands. Such are your places now.
We two are friends.
I next must swear you to, with all your ging, true to some articles you must observe, reserving to myself a prime command, whilst I enjoying nothing unreasonable.
All this is granted.
Then first you said your ship was trim and gay. I'll have her pitched all over, no spot of white, no colour to be seen, no sail but black, no flag but sable.
'Twill be ominous and bode disaster fortune.
I'll have so.
Why then, she will be pitch black as the devil.
She shall be called the Negro, for when you know my conceit, captain, you will thank me for it.
But whither are we bound?
Pardon me that. When we are out at sea, I'll tell you. For mine own wearing, I have rich apparel, for man or woman on occasion as occasion serves.
But mistress, if you be going to sea, what will become of me a land?
I'll give thee thy full time.
And I shall take time when time is, and let my mistress slip away? No, it shall be seen that my teeth are as strong to grind biscuit as the best sailor of them all, and my stomach is able to digest powdered beef and poor John. Shall I stay here to score a pudding in the half moon and see my mistress at the mainyard with her sails up and spread? No, it shall be seen that I, who have been brought up to draw wine, will see what water the ship draws, or I'll bewray the voyage.
If thou hast so much courage, the captain shall accept thee.
If I have so much courage. When did you see a black beard with a white liver, or a little fellow without a tall stomach? I doubt not but to prove an honour to all the drawers in Cornwall.
What now remains?
To make myself associate in this bold enterprise.
Most gladly, sir. Now our number's full. What's to be done?
First, at my charge, I'll feast the town of Foy, then set the cellars ope, that these my mates may quaff unto the health of our bon voyage. Our needful things being once conveyed aboard, then, casting up our caps in sign of joy, our purpose is to bid farewell to Foy.
What boys long? And yeah, I'm assuming they exit because it's not marked in the script, but yeah. That is an interesting turn of events. It's like, yeah, everyone's, the man I loved is dead, so I'm going to go become a pirate, kind of, almost. Although I think the point is that, she dyes it black in mourning as well as other stuff. I don't know. Sarah.
Well, I assume as well she's doing this to be avenged on Spencer, because the sailors told her that he died at File. So I assume she's off in her pirate cloak to be avenged on his death. I mean, she hasn't actually said it, I don't think, outright, but it was just interesting that the minute she heard from Goodlack what Spencer had done, like basically what he left her and everything, she was like, right, I'm going off to sea. And it's kind of not the obvious thing for her to have done, as a sort of, very smart, very sensible landlady, pub landlady. So I just assumed she was doing it to get revenge, and in which case that makes perfect sense that she would go in disguise, because she wants to go and wreak havoc on the on the Spanish. I did just love that last will and testament, though. I love the fact that, you know, every maid that's married out of boy whose name is Elizabeth gets £10.
Yes.
It's just so random. I love it. But I am slightly, I am getting a bit of cognitive dissonance because I love Bess. I really love her. And I think she's brilliant. She's smart and she's, you know, sensible, and she's surrounded by all these really crap men. And it's like, would you really, if you had all this money and you had all these resources, are Goodlack and Ruffman really the men you'd want to make your captain and your lieutenant? I'm like, oh my God, like, she's such a good judge of character usually. What is she doing?
Yeah.
Who knows? I just want to be a bit of a smartass and say that the World's End is also a pub in Edinburgh. But I think it turns up a lot later than this, if I'm not mistaken, because of Burke and Hare and all that stuff. Anyway, yeah. So Lynn has thoughts on this.
Yeah. I wonder if we have Ruffman and Captain Goodlack running her ship because the play requires it. Because they're there. What is she doing? What's she on about? And she doesn't know he's been captured by the Spanish. She doesn't know who killed him. All she knows is he's dead. So the revenge idea might be what's going on. She's gonna revenge herself on whoever killed him, but that hasn't been signaled like at all. She doesn't know how he died. She just knows he's dead. No one ever said he died in a duel or the Spanish killed him. Nobody's ever said that. So I don't. And I was going to answer Eric's question that came up in the chat. He said, what is this £1,000 to get people started in their trades? It's not about entrepreneurship. If I remember correctly, where's Helen when you need her, that when a family sent their son into apprenticeship, they had to pay like a little deposit just to get them that position. So you couldn't just become an apprentice because somebody thought, oh, you've got potential to be a shoemaker or whatever. It actually costs you money to enter into an apprenticeship, and that's what that's about.
Cool. I did not know this. It's like paying for an internship rather than, well, I mean, you know, the equivalent.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's paying to get into an internship where your compensation is room and board.
Yeah, I just wanted to also sort of mention the bit about with Clem. It's like, you're gonna leave me here with these people?
That was great.
He doesn't obviously say that, but it's just kind of like, so you're gonna go off to sea. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And it's like, honor to all the drawers in Cornwall, to Cornwall. And it's like sort of, it reminded me a bit of the Shoemaker's Holiday, where it's like, yes, I will be an example to all shoemakers and that kind of thing. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this scene or stuff before? Yeah. Okay. On that note, I think they're going to get a bit more confusing now because we're moving to Morocco. Act 4, Scene 3, which apparently is set in Morocco. Enter King Malisheg, and this is where the racism begins. Bashos Al-Qadi and Joffer with other attendants.
Out of these bloody and intestine broils, we have at length attained a fortunate peace, and now at last established in the throne of our great ancestors, the reign king of Fez and great Morocco.
Mighty Malisheg, pride of our age and glory of the Moors, by whose victorious hand all Barbary is conquered, awed, and swayed, behold thy vassals with loud applause greet thy victory.
Hooray! Shout, flourish, and so on and so forth.
Upon the slaughtered bodies of our foes, we mount our high tribunal, and being sole without competitor, we now have leisure to establish laws, first for our kingdom's safety, the enriching of our public treasury, and last, our state and pleasure, then give order that all such Christian merchants as have traffic and freedom in our country that conceal the least part of our custom due to us shall forfeit ship and goods.
There are appointed unto that purpose. Careful, officers.
Those forfeitures must help to furnish up the exhausted treasure that our wars consumed. Part of such profits as accrue that way we have already tasted.
'Tis most fit those Christians that reap profit by our land should contribute unto so great a loss.
Alcides? They shall. But what's the style of king without his pleasure? Find us concubines, the fairest Christian damsels you can hire, or buy for gold the loveliest of the Moors. We can commend, and Negroes everywhere, Italians, French, and Dutch, choice Turkish girls, must fill our El Khedive, the great palace where Mulasheg now deigns to keep his court.
Who else are worthy to be libertines, but such as bear the sword?
Jafar, thou pleasest us. If kings on earth be termed demigods, why should we not make here terrestrial heaven? We can, we will, our God shall be our pleasure. For so our Meccan prophet warrants us. And now the music of the drums surcease. We'll learn to dance the soft tunes of peace.
And old boys, and they exit, which I keep forgetting to mark in the script. I can see people are already twitching about the racism in this, but we are. I can also see Bryony being very excited about dressing like a sea captain. So I want to move on into the next bit. I'm not glossing over it. We'll get back to this bit soon. And this is where it all falls apart because we're all doing different things. So Act 4, Scene 4. Enter Bess like a sea captain. Good luck, Ruffman, Forrest, and Clem.
Good morrow, Captain. Oh, this last sea fight was gallantly performed. It did me good to see the Spanish caravel veil her top. Unto my maiden flag. Where ride we now?
Among the islands.
What coast is this we now descry from far?
Yon fort's called Fayal.
Is that the place where Spencer's body lies?
Yes, in yon church he's buried.
Then no, to this place was my voyage bound, to fetch the body of my Spencer thence, in his own country to erect a tomb and lasting monument, where, when I die, in the same bed of earth my bones may lie. Then, all that love me, arm and make for shore. Yours be the spoil, he mine, I crave no more.
May that man die derided and accursed that will not follow where a woman leads.
Ruffman, you are too rash and counsel ill. Have not the Spaniards fortified the town? In all our ging we are but 65.
Come, I'll make one.
Attend me, good lieutenant, and sweet Bess, listen to what I have devised. With 10 tall fellows I have manned our boat, to see what straggling Spaniards they can take, and see where Fawcett is returned with prisoners.
Enter indeed Fawcett with 2 Spaniards, which means he came on, went off, and is back again.
These Spaniards we by break of day surprised, as they were ready to take boat for fishing.
Spaniards, upon your lives resolve us truly. How strong's the town and fort?
Since English Raleigh won and spoiled it first, the town's re-edified and fort new built, and 4 field pieces in the blockhouse lie to keep the harbour's mouth.
And what's one ship to these?
Was there not, in the time of their abode, a gentleman called Spencer buried there, within the church, whom some report was slain, or perished by a wound?
Indeed there was. Sorry.
Indeed there was, and o'er him raised a goodly monument. But when the English navy was sailed thence, and that the Spaniards did possess the town, because they held him for a heretic, they straight removed his body from the church.
And would the tyrants be so uncharitable to wrong the dead? Where did they bestow him? Where did they then bestow him?
They buried him in the fields.
Oh, still more cruel I.
The man that ought the field, doubtful his corn would never prosper whilst a heretic's body lay there, he made petition to the church to have it digged up and burnt. So it was.
What's he that loves me would persuade me live, not rather leap o'er hatches into the sea? Yet ere I die, I hope to be revenged upon some Spaniards for my Spencer's wrong.
Let's first begin with these.
Lass, these poor slaves, besides their pardoned lives, one give them money, and Spaniards, where you come, pray for best bridges, and speak well of the English.
We shall.
Our mourning we will turn into revenge, and since the church hath censured so my Spencer, bestow upon the church some few cast pieces. Command the gunner do it.
And if he can, to batter it to the earth.
A piece of ordnance shot off. Enter Clem, falling for haste.
A sail! A sail!
From whence?
A pox upon yon gunner! Could he not give warning before he had shot?
Why? I prithee.
Why? I was sent to the top mast to watch, and there I fell fast asleep. Bounce, quoth the gun. Down tumbles Clem. And if by chance my foot had not hung in the tackles, you must have sent to England for a bone setter, for my neck had been in a pitiful taking.
Thou told us of a sail?
Enter a sailor above. Arm, gentlemen, a gallant ship of war makes with her full sails this way, who, it seems, hath took a bark of England.
Which we'll rescue, or perish in the adventure. You have sworn that howsoe'er we conquer or miscarry, not to reveal my sex.
We
We
have.
have.
Then, for your country's honour, my revenge, for your own fame and hope of golden spoil, stand bravely to it. At the manage of the fight, we leave to you.
Then up now with your fights, and let your ensigns, blessed with St. George's Cross, play with the winds. Fair Bess, keep you your cabin.
Captain, you wrong me. I will face the fight, and where the bullets sing loudest about mine ears, there shall you find me cheering on my men.
This wench would make of a coward a Hercules.
Trumpets, a charge, and with your whistle shrill, sound, boatswains, an alarum to your mates. With music cheer up their astonished souls, the whilst the thundering ordnance bear the bass.
To fight against the Spaniards we desire. Alarum! Trumpets!
Alarum! And
Gunners, straight, give fire.
shot! And they exit and then re-enter in the next scene, so we'll just run them on. Re-enter Good Luck, Hurt, Bess, Ruffman, Fawcett, Clem.
I'm shot, and no longer man the deck. Let not my wound daunt your courage, mates.
For every drop of blood that thou hast shed, I'll have a Spaniard's life. Advance your targets, and now cry all, board, board, amain for England.
Alarum! And they exit and then re-enter in Act 4, Scene 6, because that was a tiny scene. I'm just wondering if we should pause or just run it on. Let's run it on and then see what happens, because then we have a chorus, which is a nice break in things. Enter with victory, Bess, Ruffman, Fawcett, Clem, and so on and so forth, with the Spaniards as prisoners.
How is it with the captain?
Nothing dangerous, but being shot in the thigh, he keeps his cabin and cannot rise to greet your victory.
He stood it bravely out, whilst he could stand.
But for these Spaniards, now you, Don Diegos, you that made to pause to stink.
Before we farther censure them, let's know what English prisoners they have here aboard.
You may command them all. We that were now lords over them, fortune hath made your slaves. Release our prisoners.
Had my captain died, not one proud Spaniard had escaped with life. Your ship is forfeit to us, and your goods, so live. Give him his longboat, him and his, set safe ashore, and pray for English Bess.
I know not whom you mean, but be it your queen, famous Elizabeth, I shall report she and her subjects both are merciful.
To exit the Spaniard. Enter Ruffman with the merchant and Spencer, who I'll be reading so that Lynn doesn't have to talk to herself.
Whence are you, sir, and whither were you bound?
I am London, bound for Barbary, but by this Spanish man of war surprised, pillaged, and captived.
We much pity you. What loss you have sustained, this Spanish prey shall make good to you to the utmost farthing.
Our lives and all our fortunes whatsoever are wholly at your service.
These gentlemen have been dejected long. Let me peruse them all and give them money to drink our health. And pray forget not, sirs, to pray for... Hold, support me, or I faint.
What sudden unexpected ecstasy disturbs your conquest?
Interrupt me not, but give me way, for heaven's sake.
I've seen a face there now, like that young gentleman, but not remember where.
But he was slain, lay buried in yon church, and thence removed, denied all Christian rights, and, like an infidel, confined unto the fields, and thence digged up. His body after death had martyrdom. All these assure me 'tis his shadow dogs me. For some most just revenge thus far to see, is it because the Spaniards escaped with life, that were to thee so cruel after death, thou haunts me thus? Sweet ghost, thy rage forbear. I will revenge thee on the next we seize. I am amazed, this sight I'll not endure. Sleep, sleep, fair ghost, for thy revenge is sure.
Forset, convey the owner to his cabin.
Exit Forset with Bess. I pray, sir, what young gentleman is that?
He's both the owner of the ship and goods that for some reason hath his name concealed.
He thinks he looks like Bess, for in his eyes lives the first love that did my heart surprise.
Come, gentlemen, first make your losses good out of this Spanish prize. Let's then divide both several ways, and heavens be our guide.
We towards Marmora.
We, where the fates do please, we will have tracked a wilderness of seas, till we have tracked a wilderness of seas.
And flourish, and they exit. Well, that's a lot of has happened. We can pause here. Lynn looks a bit confused, or a lot confused, or just frustrated. I can't tell.
Yeah, I have yet to see the purpose of the scene set in Morocco. Like, what does the couple are now in the same place. We'll see. We'll see.
Indeed. Alan and Bryony.
The thing that's troubling me to a certain extent is how the plays this were staged in an early modern theatre. You know, sea battles, you know, of the nature we've just seen. I mean, our fight advisor is not with us today, regrettably. She would have loved this bit. Naval battle, you know, she's always up for those. But I mean, there is a need for an awful lot of action, and I would have thought quite a bit of prop or set moving to actually make it work.
Yeah, but I think also a lot of the battle actually happens off stage because they enter injured, they enter, you know, with victory and all that stuff. They kind of, it seems to be compromising a bit on the spectacle part, but then, I mean, like Heywood did write that part about, like, you know, Hercules and the centaurs, so he isn't like entirely foreign to using spectacle. So I don't know what would have I mean, that was in a different play that Alan will swear at me for, because it's the Trojan cycle and all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, the Age of Silver, I think it was actually. Anyway, yeah. So Bryony, then Sarah.
I'm just really loving, obviously, I mean, I love pirate stuff anyway. We all know this. But it's kind of, I don't know, it's giving me almost Robin Hood vibes. It's that fun. It's that silly, and just, yeah, I'm just having so much fun with it. And I did unfortunately have to disappear when you did the scene in Morocco, so I can't really comment on how well that's gelling in with stuff. But again, I think with the way stuff was kind of handed to us, or not even thrown at us yesterday in terms of the plot with this, maybe it's just because we haven't quite picked up the speed that we were at when we stopped yesterday, if you know what I mean. With restarting it, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it took us a while. Maybe like we should have read back a bit and then sort of launched into this for momentum or something. I don't know. But yeah, this is an interesting. Yeah, I don't know sort of where maybe Mamora is actually like somewhere in Morocco, so that's the whole point of the thing. I don't know. I'm guessing based on the chorus that comes next, which spoilers. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah. Sorry, you were saying something. You were going to say something.
I agree with Bryony about the Hollywood swashbuckling. It's giving me Spanish Main vibes. For anyone who's ever seen that film, it's very old, with Paul Henreid and Maureen O'Hara swashbuckling on the high seas, lots of pirates. It's very, very fun. Yeah, just in reply to what Alan said, I don't think this is too difficult to stage because, as you said, all the sea battles happen off. And if you literally have a raised bit of staging with a balustrade around the top of it, like a curved bit of balustrade, that could be the prow of a ship. And and you could even string a sail up the back of it on a post. And I really don't think you'd have any problem getting the audience to think of that as being, the end of a full ship, and you could just kind of wheel it on. What was I going to say about this actual scene? Oh yes, we know why Bess, it wasn't revenge, it was so she could go and set up a monument to her beloved. Bless her. All of that just for this. I know disguises and mistaken identities are beloved of early modern drama, but I do not see the point of this scene where she sees this guy who's an English prisoner and he looks just like Spencer. And her first thought is to think he's a ghost. Of course, that's what he must be. It couldn't have been a mistake. It couldn't have been the fact that maybe the report of Spencer's death is wrong and that it's actually Spencer. I mean, she's such a sane and sensible woman. I was a little bit disappointed with her there, but yeah. I'd be tempted unless there's going to be a whole mistaken identity plot to the play, which maybe there will be. I'd be tempted to just cut that bit of scene out because it doesn't really do much for either of them. But who knows? Maybe it'll turn out to be really important. But I am loving Bess on her ship, like directing everybody and just being an absolute badass. She's fabulous, and more of this sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, no, I was thinking of, I think we were discussing this like a few days ago via various other platforms where, Maid Marian and her merry men, which she drags people around because like she can boss them around. And this is a very sort of, it's a small series that Sarah showed me like a video of. I don't know if we can get it online, but anyway, maybe. It's kind of funny. Basically, very
it's
bossy
on YouTube.
Maid, yeah, very bossy Maid Marian, who instead of being Robin Hood and the merry men, she's in charge, and yeah, it's actually fun. Kind of a bit shady in parts, but anyway, yeah. Speaking of shady. Yeah, some parts of the scene in Morocco were actually quite sensible. Like, yeah, the people who are sort of profiting off our land should be the ones to pay the most tribute, which kind of, I don't know. Yeah, it's shady. Then Kyle.
Yeah, there was then, hey, what's the point of being king if you can't have concubines? Go get me some women.
Yeah, that bit is shady. Kyle, you had a thought.
I think the places where we have a little bit of racism so far, they could easily be cut. They don't really add anything, and and I was just thinking about, like, I hate to suppress that sort of stuff because it's interesting to see, in context, other playwrights and stuff, and how they distinguish. Because lately it's like looking at plays as company productions and stuff like that from the scholarship I'm reading. And it's interesting to see the different how playwrights differentiate themselves in terms of things like that. So that kind of, I like that anyway, but it doesn't seem like it's necessary. And it seems like you could even put it like on a, if you're producing it. I'm trying to think about these things in terms of production these days because I'm so bad at that. But the one thing I love though is I love Clem again, where he's falling asleep and the guns go off and then he's hanging from the tacking and he's
Right.
like, yeah, he's my favorite so far.
Yeah. Yeah, he's about to get really shady as well in the next act, which we've not read yet. But I mean, yeah, all the trigger warnings are available for this. I feel. Yeah, no, I was just gonna look up because you mentioned like the sort of element of racism as well. I was trying to remember when because we read it a few months ago in a completely different video, but I don't know if we actually shared that video or if it's online yet at the moment. At the moment of reading, I mean. Where we read The Mask of Blackness. So that must have been like around, well, because we were wondering yesterday when this was written, and it's estimated to be like late 1580s to or 1590s to 1604, according to the deep database that I found. And yeah, so Mask of Blackness must have been like a bit after this, or like I think 1605, 1606. I can't remember exactly, 1610 maybe. So by the time this was in production, it would have been sort of current or concurrent at least, which might be an interesting point for context, doesn't it? Just considering who was sponsoring both those things. Kyle, yeah.
It seems like I remember a play, not that recently. I wasn't here for the Mask of Blackness, but I remember a play before where we also, interestingly enough, had a kind of Robin Hood feel to it. We really loved it. And then it turned racist. And here, I mean, we're getting a lot of like nationalism with the Spanish as opposed to the English constantly. So I think there's some kind of agenda in some way, maybe of like, you know, creating an identity by difference. I mean, obviously, but you know, that seems like it's kind of maybe typical of the genre in some ways, of that genre, of kind of a nationalist genre.
Yeah, there's a lot of plays, and like if you look at the sort of pageantry that the like the Lord Mayor's shows as well, that there is a lot of that. Like there's yeah, anyway, that's just a different thing altogether. Anyway, we should probably move on, but I mean, yeah, unless there are any other thoughts on this section of play before okay, Act 5, Scene 1. This is the last two scenes. Enter King Mollysheg, Alcady, Joffre.
No,
Yeah.
you've got the chorus
Really?
first.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Chorus.
I thought we
chorus.
skipped-
Yes,
I
my
thought-
bad.
I thought it was just like
I don't know what
hallucinating.
day we're on. Sorry. Yeah.
4/7.
Act 4, Scene 7. Enter chorus.
Our stage so lamely can express a sea, that we are forced by chorus to discourse what should have been in action. Now imagine her passion o'er, and good luck well recovered, who, had he not been wounded and seen Spencer, had sure descried him. Much prize they obtain, the French and Dutch she spares, only makes spoil of the rich Spaniard and the barbarous Turk. And now her fame grows great in all these seas. Suppose her rich and forced, for want of water, to put into Marmora in Barbary, where, wearied with the habit of a man, she was discovered by the Moors aboard, which told it to the amorous King of Fez, that ne'er before had English lady seen. He sends for her on shore. How he receives her, how she and Spencer meet, must next succeed. Sit patient then, when these are fully told, some mayhaps say, aye, there's a girl worth gold.
Exit act long. I'm guessing this means act in parallel or something. I don't know.
Act
if
4,
any-
I think, probably.
Maybe. And act thus endeth Act 4. Yeah, Sarah pointedly put in chat. I love this part that, you know, we should be acting this out, but we don't have the money or the budget or the time or the energy. So here you go. And I think that's actually quite valid for a lot of theater nowadays. So yeah, although we don't write choruses in the 21st century, which is a bit of a pity in some ways. Anyway, Act 5, Scene 1. Enter King Mollysheg, Alcady, Joffre, attendants, and various others.
But was she of such presence?
To describe her were to make eloquence dumb.
Well habited?
I ne'er beheld a beauty more complete.
Thou hast inflamed our spirits. In England born?
The captain so reported.
How, her ship?
I never saw a braver vessel sail, and she is called the Negro.
Ominous. Perhaps to our good fate, she is in a Negro, hath sailed thus far to bosom with a Moor. But for the motion made to come ashore, how did she relish that?
I promised to the captain large reward to win him to it, and this day he hath promised to bring me her free answer.
When he comes, give him the entertainment of a prince.
Enter a Moor.
The news with thee?
The captain of the Negro craves admittance unto your highness' presence.
A guard attend him, and our noblest bashas conduct him safe where we will parley him.
A flourish. Enter Goodluck and Ruffin.
Long live the high and mighty king of Fez.
If thou bringest her, then dost thou bring me life. Say, will she come?
She will, my lord, but yet conditionally. She may be free from violence.
Now, by the mighty prophet we adore, she shall live lady of her free desires. 'Tis love, not force, must quench our amorous fires.
We will conduct her to your presence straight.
We will have banquets, revels, and whatnot to entertain this stranger.
What boys possibly exit Ruffman, then re-enter and enter Best Bridges failed, Goodluck, Ruffman, Fawcett, and various Moors.
A goodly presence. Why is that beauty veiled?
Long live the king of Fez.
I am amazed. This is no mortal creature I behold, but some bright angel that is dropped from heaven, sent by our prophet. Captain, let me thus embrace thee in my arms. Load him with gold for this great favor.
Captain, touch it not. No, king of Fez, my followers want no gold. I only came to see thee, for my pleasure, and show thee what these say thou never sawest, a woman born in England.
That English earth may well be termed a heaven that breeds such divine beauties. Make me sure that thou art mortal by one friendly touch.
Keep off, for till thou swearest to my demands, I will have no commerce with Mullisheg, but leave thee as I came.
Were it half my kingdom, that beauteous English virgin thou shalt have.
Captain, read.
First, liberty for her and hers to leave the land at her pleasure. Next, safe conduct to and from her ship at her own discretion. Thirdly, to be free from all violence, either by the king or any of his people. Fourthly, to allow her mariners fresh victuals aboard. Fifthly, to offer no farther violence to a person than what he seeks by kingly usage and free entreaty.
These I vow and seal.
These being assured, your courtship's free, and henceforth we secured.
Say, gentlemen of England, what's your fashion and garb of entertainment?
Our first greeting begins still on the lips.
Fair creature, shall I be immortalized with a with that high favor?
'Tis no immodest thing, you ask, nor shame for best to kiss a king.
This kith hath all my vitals ecstasied.
Captain, the king is mightily in love. Well, let her do as she list. I'll make use of his bounty.
Should be madman else.
Grace me so much as take your seat by me.
I'll be so far commanded.
Sweet, your age.
Not yet fully 17.
But how your birth? How came you to this wealth, to have such gentlemen at your command, and what your cause of travel?
Mighty prince, if you desire to see me beat my breast, pour forth a river of increasing tears, then you may urge me to that sad discourse.
Not for Mamora's wealth, nor all the gold coined in rich Barbary. Nay, sweet, arise, and ask of me, be it half this kingdom's treasure, and thou art lady on it.
If I shall ask, 'tmust be. You will not give. Our country breeds no beggars, for our hearts are of more noble temper.
Sweet, your name.
Elizabeth.
There is virtue in that name. The Virgin Queen, so famous through the world, the mighty Empress of the Maiden Isle, whose predecessors have e'er o'errun great France, whose powerful hand doth still support the Dutch and keep the potent King of Spain in awe. Is not she titled so?
She is.
Hath she herself a face so fair as yours, when she appears for wonder?
Mighty Fez, you cast a blush upon my maiden cheek, to pattern me with her. Why, England's queen, she is the only phoenix of her age, the pride and glory of the Western Isles. Had I 1,000 tongues, they would all tire and fail me in her true description.
Grant me this. Tomorrow we supply our judgment seat and sentence causes. Sit with us in state and let your presence beautify our throne.
In that I am your servant.
And we thine. Set on in state, attendance and full train, but find to ask, we vow thou shalt obtain.
Exit King Malisheg, Bess, and attendants, leaving Good Luck. And of course, enter Clem to Good Luck.
It is not now as when Andrea lived, or rather Andrew, our elder journeyman. What? Drawers become courtiers? Now may I speak with the old ghost in Hieronymo. When this eternal substance of my soul did live imprisoned in this wanton flesh, I was a courtier in the court of Fez.
Oh, well done, Clem. It's your mistress' pleasure. None come ashore that's not well habited.
Nay, for my own part, I hold myself as good a Christian in these clothes as the proudest infidel of them all.
Enter Arcady and Joffer.
Sir, by your leave, you're of the English train.
I am so, thou great monarch of the Mauritanians.
Then 'tis the king's command we give you all attendance.
Great Signor of the Saracens, I thank thee.
Will you walk in to banquet?
I will make bold to march in towards your banquet, and there comfort myself and cast all caraways down my throat the best way I have to conserve myself in health. And for your country's sake, which is called Barbary, I will love all barbers and barberries the better. And for you Moors, thus much I mean to say, I'll see if more I eat, the more I may.
Enter two merchants, a Frenchman and a Florentine.
I pray, sir, are you of the English train?
Why, what art thou, my friend?
Sir, a French merchant, run into relapse and forfeit of the law. Here's for you, sir, 40 good Barbary pieces to deliver your lady this petition, who I hear can all things with the king.
Your gold doth bind me to you. You may see what it is to be a sudden courtier. I no sooner put my nose into the court, but my hand itches for a bribe already. What's your business, my friend?
Some of my men, for a little outrage done, are sentenced to the galleys.
To the gallows?
No, to the galleys. Now, could your lady purchase their pardon from the king? Here's 20 angels.
What are you, sir?
A Florentine merchant.
Then you are, as they say, a Christian?
Heaven forbid else.
I should not have the faith to take your gold, else. Attend on me. I'll speak in your behalf. Where be my bashors? Usher us in state.
And the flourish.
And when we sit to banquet, see you wait.
They exit. This can't possibly go wrong, can it? Yeah, I can see Sarah already rolling her eyes. I have to say that I did like Clem sort of going, "Oh, look at me, I'm fancy now." Yeah.
Quoting Spanish tragedy verbatim.
Yeah.
It keeps on giving, man.
Sarah.
Just love the fact that Clem quoted Geronimo.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the stuff. I don't know. Clem is just an interesting character. He's Emily was saying yesterday that it's interesting to see if he's a clown or a fool, but then I don't know if he's either at the moment. He's kind of he's a bit of both.
He seems to fluctuate. Like yesterday, I thought he was very much erring on the side of fool. But today, and certainly in this last scene with him taking the bribes from all the different from the Florentine and the Frenchman, he seems to be lurching more towards clown territory. He's an interesting character.
Kind of the witty fool.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else I could say about him. I can see Bryony itching to say something and Alan itching to say something.
I'm just going to say, like, I think Bess and Clem, we could make a TV series out of those two. They're both fantastic.
Yeah, and also 17 and like 13, maybe. We're not entirely sure. Come on, just it's totally written for teens, isn't it? Yeah, Alan.
I think if you did stage that double act, you would need a drum kit at the back. And each time after Clem's done it, we boom tish.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I mean, every corny gag must get a signal.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I think we should move on to the final scene, which is totally not shady and racist and everything else. Yeah, that's sarcasm for you. And this is Act 5, Scene 2, where I will be reading Alcides to avoid Lynn talking to herself and possibly a few other characters. And yeah, so enter Spencer, Solus.
Okay. This day the king ascends his royal throne. The honest merchant in whose ship I came, half by a cunning quitted in the law, both ship and goods made forfeit to the king, to whom I will petition. But no more. He's now upon his entrance.
All boys, enter the king, Bess, Goodlack, Ruffman, Alcides, Joffer, with all the other train.
Here seat the maid of England like a queen. The style will give thee, wilt thou deign us love?
Bless me, you holy angels.
What is it offends you, sweet?
With Spencer, is it you?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was done. I'm an idiot. Sorry. I am amazed and know not what to think on it.
Captain, dost not see? Is not that Spencer's ghost?
Say, and like you, I'm ecstasied.
If mine eyes mistake not, that should be Captain Goodlack and that Bess. But oh, I cannot be so happy.
'Tis he, and I'll salute him.
Captain, stay. You shall be swayed by me.
Him I well know, but how should she come hither?
What is it that troubles you?
Most mighty king, spare me no longer time but to bestow my captain on a message.
Thou shalt command my silence and his ear.
Go, wind about. When you see least eyes are fixed on you, single him out, and see if we mistake not. If he be the man, give me some private note.
Yes.
Enough. What said your highness?
Hark, what I proffer thee. Continue here and grant me full fruition of thy love.
Good.
Thou shalt have all my peers to honor thee, next our great prophet.
Well,
And when thou art weary of our sunburnt clime, thy negro shall be ballast home with gold.
I am eternized ever. Now, all you sad disasters, they're your worst. I neither care nor fear. My Spencer lives.
You mind me not, sweet virgin.
You talk of love, my lord. I'll tell you more of that hereafter. But now to your state business. Bid him do thus. No more, and not to be seen till then.
Enough. Come, sir, you must along with me.
Exit Goodluck and Spencer.
Now, stood 1,000 deaths before my face, I would not change my cheer since Spencer's safe.
Enter Clem and the merchants.
By your leave, my masters, room for generosity.
Pray, sir, remember me.
Good sir, my suit.
I am perfect in both your parts without prompting. Mistress, here are 2 Christian friends of mine have forfeited ships and men to the Blackamoorian king. Now, one sweet word from your lips might get their release. I have had a feeling of the business already.
For dealing in commodities forbid, you are fined 1,000 ducats.
Cast off the burden of your heavy doom. A follower of my train petitions for him.
One of thy train, sweet Bess?
And no worse man than myself, sir.
Well, sirrah, for your lady's sake, his ship and goods shall be restored again. Long live King of Fez.
Mayst thou never want sweet water to wash thy black face in, most mighty monarch of Morocco. Mistress, another friend. Aye, and pay beforehand.
Sirrah, your men, for outrage and contempt, are doomed unto the galleys.
A censure too severe for Christians, great king. I'll pay their ransom.
Then, my Bess, thy word shall be their ransom. They're discharged. What grave old man is that?
A Christian preacher, one that would convert your Moors and turn them to a new belief.
Then he shall die, as we are King of Fez.
For these I only spake, for him I kneel, if I have any grace with mighty Fez.
We can deny thee nothing, beauteous maid. A kiss shall be his pardon.
Thus I pay it.
Must your black face be smooching my mistress' white lips with a Morian? I would you had kissed her ass.
How is that, sir?
Oh, that's right.
I know what I say, sir. I would he had kissed her ass
What?
1,000 times to have done him a pleasure.
And re-enter Spencer and Goodluck.
That kiss was worth the ransom of a king. What's he of that brave presence?
A gentleman of England and my friend, do him some grace for my sake.
For thy sake, what would I not perform? He shall have grace and honor. Joffrey, go and see him gelded to attend on us. He shall be our chief eunuch.
Not for 10 worlds. Behold, great king, I stand betwixt him and all danger. Have I found thee? Seize what I have. Take both my ship and goods. Leave naught that's mine unrifled. Spare me him. And have I found my Spencer?
Please, your majesty, I see all men are not capable of honour. What he refuseth, may it please you to bestow on me.
With all my heart. Go, bear him hence, Al-Kadi, into our El-Kadavi. Honor him and let him taste the razor.
There's honour for me.
Come, follow.
No, sir, I'll go before you, for mine honour.
Exeunt the 2 of them.
Oh, show yourself, renowned king, the same fame blazons you. Bestow this maid on me, to such a gift as kingdoms cannot buy. She is a precedent of all true love, and shall be registered to after times that ne'er shall pattern her.
Heard you the story of their constant love? 'Twould move you to compassion.
Let's not interpret love. Let not intemperate love sway you above pity. That foreign nation that ne'er heard your name may chronicle your virtues.
You have awaked in me heroic spirit. Lust shall not conquer virtue. 'Tis this hour we grace thee for thy beauty, Englishwoman, but now we wonder at thy constancy.
Oh, Were you of our faith, I'd swear great Mullishag to be a god on earth. And lives my Spencer, I troth I thought thee dead. In troth I thought thee dead.
In hope of thee, I live to gain both life and liberty.
And on cue, enter Clem running.
No more of your honour if you love me. Is this your Moorish preferment, to rob a man of his best jewels?
Hast thou seen our Alcadavi?
Davy, do you call him? He may be called Shavy. I am sure he hath tickled my current commodity. No more your cutting honour if you love me.
All your strange fortunes we will hear discoursed, and after that your fair espousal's grace, if you can find a man of your belief to do that grateful office.
None more fit than this religious and grave gentleman, late rescued from death's sentence.
None more proud to do you that poor service.
Noble Englishman, I cannot fasten bounty to my will. Worthy thy merit, move some suit to us.
To make you more renowned, great king, and us more indebted, there's an Englishman hath forfeited his ship for goods unaccustomed.
Thy suit is granted ere it be half begged. Dispose them at thy pleasure.
Mighty king, we are your highness' servants.
Come, beauteous maid, we'll see thee crowned a bride. At all our pompous banquets these shall wait. They followers and thy servants press with gold. Thy followers and thy servants press with gold, and not the meanest that to thy train belongs, but shall approve our bounty, lead in state, and wheresoever thy fame shall be enrolled, the world report thou art a girl worth gold.
Thus endeth the play, with Clem running from, well, obviously, Clem is, and the wedding, and yeah. Any thoughts? I mean, now that we've read all of it, we can say final thoughts or whatever. I know Carl wasn't here for the first part, so yeah, it was a bit less racisty, a bit less, just tiny, just a little bit, yeah. Bryony.
I'm just wondering, however, will I know my own worth without a man to tell me? A king, no less.
I know, right? Yeah. And also that thing of sort of, oh yeah, they can totally get married, and like sort of doesn't even ask her. The sort of, yeah, it's like so much for that idea. Yeah, but it was good while it lasted for a while, maybe. I don't know. Sarah.
I mean, looking at it purely from a structural perspective, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that end. That end is it works perfectly well as an ending. Everybody meets, everything gets sorted out. The hero and the heroine are reunited. It ends with the promise of their wedding. Yeah, from a structural perspective, it all works perfectly well, and everything happens that kind of you would expect to happen. It's just a shame because it's been such a good play, and then it just all goes really Daily Mail in the last third, and because of the way it ends, and because it does end in this kind of exotic foreign court, I don't know how you would, like the kind of the sort of the casual racism, the sort of funny, the stuff that's supposed to be funny, you could cut out, but you can't actually cut out the whole of the end of the play. And the thing is, it's just such a perfect storm of misogyny and racism and this kind of horrible patronizing characterization. I honestly don't know how you I don't know how I would anyway. Someone cleverer than me could maybe do it, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know how I could personally make that ending work in the way it's written without kind of changing it hugely for a modern audience. In terms of how it works structurally, it works just fine, but all the way through this, I've been thinking, oh my God, I really want to stage this. I really want to direct this play. And then all of a sudden, I don't think I do, which is just like massively, disappointing. But hey, c'est la vie, that's early modern drama for you.
Alan, then Bryony.
I must admit, I think as with an awful lot of these pieces, one would have to just do it as, look, this is a historical piece. It dates from X, and this was what it was at the time. You know, and if it doesn't happen to fit with the mores of this particular year and season, so be it. And I appreciate that. Probably is going to get pins stuck in a wax image of me from here till eternity. But you know, that really is the only way that you can look at it.
Bryony.
Don't worry, Alan. All my wax dolls have melted. You're safe. But no, I don't know. I couldn't do that to Bess though. I understand with some of these plays, like absolutely, just to say we're doing this for the educational value of it as a historical piece. So like as a blanket trigger warning almost. But with this one, because I really fell in love with Bess and with Clem so hard, and then I can't let them be ruined like that. So I go back to my previous point, and I know Rob's probably not going to be too impressed with this because we're here to look at this text and stuff, but I think we just make a TV series out of Clem and Bess and their adventures on the high seas.
To be fair, there is a second part. Like, this is just Fair Maid of the West part 1. So there's a part of me going, is she going to go, dump him and go adventuring? Or is part 2 just sort of like, about, he gets lost again or have a fight or dies. And then she just keeps on living and has the whale of a time. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's Clem growing into his own. We don't know. Yeah. Well, apparently if we're well behaved, we get to read the next part next week, or next time. I don't know. Sarah.
Who knows? Depending on how the second part turns out. Sequels are usually rubbish, but who knows? Maybe there'll be enough material from the second part or the end of the second part. Maybe we can mash the two together and just conveniently cut out the end of the first half. I don't know. Who knows?
I'm just wondering if it's kind of like the sort of the two Robin Hood plays that that are kind of attributed to Anthony Munday, where you've got one part that sort of ends halfway through the second part, where Robin dies in the first sort of few scenes of that, and then you could cut it and make a completely different Maid Marian play, which is much more interesting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Sarah has many thoughts.
Yes, sorry, I keep having them. It did just occur to me that maybe that kind of slightly lame scene where she sees Spencer on the ship after the battle, instead of thinking that he's a ghost, maybe at that point she could realize that it is actually Spencer, and you transpose his speeches from the end where she sees him and actually just say, oh my God, it's Spencer. And they just end up getting married on the ship. And that's it. But I don't know, that would probably make it a very short play.
Yeah, but then you have to rely on good luck, doing the ceremony, which is that's not a good idea. Maybe I don't know.
Well, we could that random priest who just appeared at the last minute. I'm sure he could just appear on the ship. That's
true. Any thoughts about the play as a whole? I mean, since we've read it, we've read the whole thing. Yes. Lynn looks very flustered about this. Not flustered, frustrated might be.
Frustrated. Yeah, I mean, so final thought wise, I mean, I'm really aligned quite closely with Sarah that this is really pegging the curse of the final session meter. I mean, even though it felt like it was going to be pretty predictable, we've got tokens that are going to get mislaid, and good guy turned bad guy, and maybe good luck will change his mind and decide to be a good person in the end. And the first half was so gritty and real, and it's this is set in a pub, and It was, it just charmed me. And then it just goes off the rails. We're gonna have exotic settings and make those exotic settings a setting for like icky racism and icky basically predatory behavior and like seriously, I don't know what I would do with it. I think the idea of ending it with their reunion on the ship and just cutting that first scene that takes place in Morocco, I don't see anything wrong with that. So you'd have a short play, so what? That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really like a different author stepped in, or Heywood dropped acid, or stuff. Yeah.
To be fair, it's not the first time he's done this. I mean, to reference the age plays again for the millionth time in this series, he did sort of go, "Oh yeah, look, funny scene in with the sort of servant being confused with what's his face, Zeus, and oh, she's not letting me in, and then suddenly, oh yep, sort of no consent, forced consent scene." That was, I mean, he has a sort of thing for that, maybe. Although I think that might have been written after this or during, at the same time as this. He wrote a lot of stuff. He was a busy guy. I don't know if he really cared much about character at this point. Yeah, maybe he did. You can throw things at me.
He seems to have cared about character because he's written just such a damn fine character. Well, no, more than one. He's written a damn fine character in Bess, and Clem is a when he's not being randomly like horribly racist at the end, he's a figure of greatness. And I think Bryony's right. I think we should just give them their own TV series. They can sail off into the sunset. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bryony.
Yeah, I like Sarah's fix as well, to be fair, with the cutting and moving stuff slightly. And I think if it ended up too short, you could probably plump up that second half really nicely with some shanties.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
Just pirate on it and have the crew just doing some shanties to vamp it out a bit. I think that'd be wicked. I'd need to see that.
Yeah, pirate song and dance. That's all you need. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Pirates Penzance already exists, but I mean, why not? And also, like, I was thinking that, like, historically, Anne Bonny was like born about 100 years after this, if not more. So yeah, there's always territory for that kind of thing. Kyle, any thoughts before we sort of close the session?
Yeah, I mean, I just agree. I think, I find value in it academically because it's clearly like a perfect example of the construction of whiteness. It's perfect for that. But, I think, if you're not trying to look at this academically, why not do what Sarah said, which is like rewrite the thing, or even, in the period, they even used a lot of the same stuff, the same material from different plays and things like that. And you could even take something from another play and end it with, the spirit of this in some ways that aren't as, doing all the stuff that it's doing.
This is true. Alan, any other thoughts? Yeah,
I think actually responding to Carl's point there, I think there is, to a certain extent, some of these scenes are recycled, if not in terms of verbiage or in terms of exact plot location. There seem to be a number of tropes which are coming back, which we've seen many, many times in the plays that we've looked at preceding this. Let's stick in an exotic corps so we can have some fancy costumes and something for the audience to go ooh and ah about. We'll stick in a few battles and a few fighting sequences because that always keeps the groundlings happy. We'll stick in some racist humour because that pretty well always goes down well, and was still so doing until the 60s and 70s of this last century. So there does seem an element of recycling going on with an awful lot of these plays.
Yeah, true. Bryony.
Yeah, we've kind of already said it, but I don't think it can be overstated enough just how special of a character as a female Bess is. And I know it did all kind of go to hell in a handbasket right at the very end, but like, yeah, just she's just really different. I don't know if I've ever read female character that I've enjoyed that has felt as real as Bess. Like, yeah.
Alan.
Yeah, I mean, my thought throughout has been that effectively within the company, whoever the lad was who specialised in doing the female roles must have looked at this one and thought, yippee, I've got a hell of a role here to play with. Because effectively an awful lot of the chaps are there, you know, the more adult actors are there really to act as foils. And it comes down to the lad who's playing Bess and the young lad who's playing Kev, carrying most of the weight of the piece.
Yeah, and also just kind of, I just like the idea that the young sort of, I don't know, maybe rising star would have been, maybe, who knows, would have been going, oh yeah, this is a piece for me, so you shut up, you know, adults, and well, maybe not adults, but like sort of, you know, because Bess does have that moment of sit down, I'm going to tell you what to do kind of thing. I'm in charge, which is kind of like the younger actor telling the older actors how to behave, which is always fun. Yeah, Kyle.
The one thing that I thought kind of lacked in this last part that wasn't problematic was the kind of resurrection, the Greek, you know, miracle of reviving, and then in those romances, and then the you know, reunion. That's just so not there. You could actually kind of bring that, you know, bring that out and tamper all this other stuff down. You know, in some way.
Yeah, I just like how Bess went sort of, you know, from, oh, it's a ghost, to, in truth, I thought you were dead by this point, so I don't care anymore. I'm just going to be with you because I like you. In truth, I thought you were dead. It's like, it's very realistic compared to the previous bit, which is like, oh, a ghost, and all that stuff. You know, it just seems very pragmatic and down to earth. Although the rest of it isn't, I mean, in that scene. But yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap up this this play? Well, this part of this play, because apparently there's more. Okay. Well, thank you to all the wonderful readers for their wonderful reading and their wonderful commentary, and you know, for keeping me in line. Like, you know, it's like not that scene and this one and that thing. And of course, the lovely hat wear that is being modeled right now by Bryony. Yeah, thank you very much. I've been your host, Eric Karoulla, and this wench would make of a coward a Hercules.